Următoarea noastră invitată este Susanne Bruggelman, cu 25 de ani de experiență în industria IT. Ea este un veteran IT, putem spune, având roluri pe care le-a îndeplinit în Fujitsu, de la marketing la vânzări, dar și consultanță și managementul tehnologiei de protecție a mediului. Poate că vă întrebați cum poate fi transformată această preocupare de protecția mediului și de reducerea emisiilor de dioxid de carbon, dar și de creșterea eficienței energetice, într-o forță inovativă din interiorul produselor. O să vedem într-o prezentare deosebit de interesantă pe care ne va oferi Susanne.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So the track will be about the eco-consciousness, a major driving force behind product innovations and the contribution of ICT towards a low-carbon society. So the global challenge is the climate, and obviously there are a lot of forecasts from projections which are very dramatical to other projections which are more conservative. And at the end of the day, it is a given that the temperature is increasing. So the International Panel on Climate Change is considered to be quite conservative. They say that we are already at 0.8 degrees above the average temperature, and their projection ranges from 1.1 to 6.4 degrees in comparison to pre-industrial levels. There are some critics which say that these projections are too conservative. They do not take the reality into account. So the OECD, which is a very meaningful voice as well, says that the temperature is increasing more. So at the end of the day, whatever the increase will be, we are facing this challenge, and this means that action is required in terms of more ambitious policy. Also, traditional approaches are no longer effective, and that is why ICT has to innovate and come up with new processes, new products, new solutions, and new services. There is a new EU Energy Directive approaching in line with those projections, and this directive will hit Romania as well and Germany as well. And what we currently do at our production sites in Augsburg factory, the Research and Development Center in Paderborn, and also our headquarter offices in Munich, is that we are trying to prepare ourselves to be ready on one hand side for this directive, and on the other hand, to be able to provide our customers with the best-in-class eco-conscious consulting we can offer. So Fujitsu's answer, today's agenda, will look into the umbrella vision of our headquarters based in Tokyo and the strategic environmental policy, the CO2 reduction by green policy innovation, the European policy localization, the eco-conscious portfolio proof points, and the outlook and conclusion. So the umbrella vision of Fujitsu is to build a prosperous society which will be viable for future generations as well, which will be rewarding and still secure for the people who live in it. So that would translate into a scenario what they do already in the Munich city, e-mobility project, that you will be able to rent, for instance, eco-conscious cars or something like that when you arrive at the airport to reduce the CO2 footprint of your travel. So the strategic pillar of the global environmental policy is this framework. So let me start with the Green Policy 21. It's named 21 because it looks into the next century. This is a very, very ambitious long-term projection and target saying that we make every activity green. So in at a first glance, that might look like peanuts, we make everything green, what does this say? But in reality, that means that each and every activity will be based on eco-conscious considerations, translating into green products, green solutions, green services, and no longer differentiating between products which are green and products which are not yet green. So this 21 formulation was created after the Rio Earth Summit, and then it was translated into the Fujitsu policy in 1992. That is why we started already in 1993 as a response to this formulation with the first step of the Environmental Protection Program. Because in order to reach those 21 ambitious umbrella vision, you have to break down into further steps. So the Environmental Protection Program started in the early 90s and then developed step by step with more and more and more areas of consideration. When the merger took place from Fujitsu Siemens Computers into the Fujitsu Group, we got the Environmental Protection Program Stage 6. So why is it Stage 6? Because we are in the 6th stage of this action plan, and these stages always cover 3 years. So what we are doing now is, it's part of my job, creating the Environmental Protection Program Stage 6 targets together with the new targets of the Stage 7. That means we are backcasting what we have achieved in Stage 6 and looking forward how we could pull that into the new definition, Stage 7, which will become effective in 2013. So in the middle, to bridge between one extreme and the other one, we have the Green Policy 2020, which is creating a prosperous low-carbon society, and they have 3 pillars. One is benefiting the customers and society with our portfolio. The other one is pursue internal reforms. That means that Fujitsu is preparing itself in all its activities to be as eco-conscious as possible. And the next one is biodiversity. And to come up with one explanation, biodiversity does not mean that we are only talking about the rainforest. Biodiversity means that we are trying to evaluate the value of nature as an intact nature. For instance, what would be if the Great Barrier Reef was to disappear? That means that the rainforest in Australia would not be able to protect the coast. That would have a dramatic change on Queensland, and this value of nature can hardly be assessed. But there are several factors where you could try to measure that in a certain way. We are going to look into the figures at a later stage. So Fujitsu has formulated a CO2 reduction target on a global base. This comes to 15 million tons of CO2 reduction. The important thing is that this is an absolute target. That means you differentiate between relative targets and absolute targets. The absolute targets say that you are going to reach this target, whatever will happen. If you have relative targets, then you pull that down onto the projection of how are you going to reduce the product carbon footprint of a certain product stream in relation to the output of your factory. And of course, this will vary from time to time. So Green Policy Innovation Global Target Reduction says that we have 3 million tons in terms of reduction of IT, that means the product itself, and 12 million tons by ICT, that's the solution sector, and by nature, of course, the solution sector has the lion's share of CO2 reduction. So we have got one tool. This is called EcoCalc. This is a solution developed by the Fujitsu labs and now going to be adopted by the International Telecommunication Union as a standard. That's to be projected to come out soon. And this CO2 calculation solution takes into account 7 factors. So we pick out, for instance, the human movement. At Fujitsu Technology Solutions, we introduced a video conferencing system at 50 sites, tried to reduce the product carbon footprint of our internal movements. Because as you remember, the EU directive is coming, and at our offices in Munich and also other sales and marketing related offices, the challenge was not the CO2 created by production, but the CO2 created by the movement of the employees traveling around. So we tried to reduce those CO2-related carbon footprints at the end of the day and came up with tremendous reductions of 300 million tons already, because we introduced that solution in a larger scale. The localization of the green policy innovation at Fujitsu Technology Solutions covers various aspects. One is the aspect covering the elimination of harmful substances, so that you can make sure that you are going to produce according to the supplier code of conduct. So there are two guidances which are relevant in this case. One comes from Fujitsu Limited, which is the huge umbrella guideline covering the entire Fujitsu portfolio, and as a subset, we have created our FTS supplier code of conduct, which is of course in line with the umbrella, and then further stipulates how we at FTS try to get our suppliers in line to be prepared to report. So we eliminate harmful and potentially harmful substances, and we are also in line with manufacturing and logistics. We have selected ecological sensible methods to come up with the best-in-class scenario to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Also, savings in energy consumption are an essential factor. And last but not least, the Paderborn Recycling Center, where we have got some colleagues as well, is able to recycle 90% of all products. So this recycling center was established already in 1998 and is a very important point for our total concept. So as you can see in the middle, we have the employees, we have all relevant parties around, also including our customers. So the optimized production at Augsburg factory. This is a picture which will take us a bit into the details of the factory. So at Augsburg factory, that's about 80 kilometers away from the headquarters in Munich, we produce approximately 13,000 systems per day. So from the beginning to 2008, we had been able to reduce the energy consumption per unit produced by approximately 65%. And then, as it was mentioned in the speech before, the East Japan earthquake hit a Fujitsu factory. That is why you see a small increase here. That was in 2011, and another increase from 2008. So one is the merger, the other one is the earthquake. So the challenge is that we also at Augsburg factory have the ambition to come up with an absolute reduction target. Due to the change of the business model, this is currently very challenging because we got, after the merger into the Fujitsu Group, an additional data center, plus we got a relevant part of the production, which on one hand side is a brilliant opportunity for Germany, and of course Augsburg is very proud of that, but it will not interest the German government. What the German government is supposed to do is, once we have got this EU directive in place, then our Chancellor, Ms. Merkel, will break down into legislation a directive showing to what an extent Augsburg factory will be allowed to consume energy without additional taxes. So what they do in Japan, for instance, there's a factory called Shimane in the south of Japan, and they have got a threshold. That means per your production you are going to create, you will receive a target, and when you are above the target, then you are supposed to tax this. I mean, significantly above the target. You have a certain zone for allowance, and after that, that will become quite expensive. So, if we look again at Augsburg factory, maybe next year we will have a threshold in the middle of the line, and our challenge is that the energy consumption is increasing and increasing. Maybe the data center will consume more energy than projected. Maybe, hopefully, we will build more servers because we get more orders, and then the relative target will not be in line with the absolute target, and that is why we have to pay attention here. Also, the mainboard production still takes place in Germany and is considered to be a spot for consideration, because in the factory you have different halls. You have one which encompasses the data center, you have got another one where the mainboard production takes place. And what we are going at the moment now is creating a project which is called Green Factory. Get the advice from Japan how they are going to manage their threshold guideline. Then consider all the different halls and production sites, which of course creates a lot of discussion among the different business owners, and then try to formulate a target which is reasonable for all of us. Also, Siemens has already touched base with us. They had created a supplier questionnaire where they wanted to know in depth to what an extent the products they order from Augsburg factory influence their CO2 balance, and that means you have to be able to report in a very detailed way. So, same with transport. We try to avoid any transport per airplane. Of course, this is not always possible if it has to be absolutely within short notice, but as far as possible, we try to use sea transport. We try to also use the train, and at the end of the day, the final assembly is in many cases very close to the customer, which allows us to come with a competitive balance at the end of the day. So in all, we have been able to avoid any increases. The opposite, it was successful to reduce the transport-related CO2, and this is absolutely in line with the Japanese global environmental policy. So we come up with some portfolio proof points, the concrete things after those considerations. You can see them at a later point in time. So one building block is reliability, another one is green, another one is innovation, and the last one is human-centric. So what does this mean in detail? This means in detail that we have created a pro-green selection. In the beginning, the pro-green selection started with a PC only and was treated as a marketing initiative for the channel. But then it was so successful that the customers liked the proof point to have this pro-green selection that we extended the portfolio from other product lines into other product lines and created this umbrella. So the eco-conscious product proof points break down into several categories. The reliability means you have got long product life cycles to assure the component consistency. The Esprimo PCs and the Celsius workstations are designed in Germany. The motherboards are still manufactured in Germany. The green IT technology, of course, is energy efficient beyond Energy Star requirements. We are phasing out hazardous substances and are using bioplastic material. I can explain you one example. We have got an eco mouse, and it's not about a tiny accessory. It's about being able to use alternative materials coming from the wood industry. It's called lignin in the mouse casing, so that the mouse casing of this eco mouse is biodegradable after a certain point in time. We also use that material for keyboards, for the bottom part, and the challenge was that we had to integrate that into mass production. So the PCs are still a very important part of those proof points, because we have developed a patented 0-watt technology which puts the PC into the deep sleep standby mode at 0 watt while the system remains centrally manageable. There are also 0 clients which offer virtualization enabling PC user experience, and you can come up with a power reduction of about 90%. You have got the human-centric design, which is economic, easy to use and to service, the 0-watt monitor with optimum brightness, including the eco button, and silent systems with optimized fans and efficient airflow. That's more or less the portfolio which we offer around Green IT, which is quite holistic and which we consider as a differentiator on the market, that it is really encompassing all product lines. So I show you one example to what an extent we had been able to cut down the energy cost. So in 2005, we had this Esprimo PC consumed approximately 200 watt, and now the generation in 2011 is at around 10 euro 58 watt, and this shows already to what an extent the cost of energy will impact us and our product lines. The 2012 figures, of course, will come out at the end of the fiscal year, and the measurements are based on the Energy Star 5 considerations. So the product carbon footprint project. We did that because our customers asked for the product carbon footprint of individual products, and we found out that this is not possible to be calculated as such. Because if you take an apple, for instance, the apple has not got the use phase in itself because you are going to eat it up. However, the lion's share of the product carbon footprint of a PC is the use phase, and even in the server area, the use phase is higher. It comes to 90%. So we broke down all the different processes of product creation into different steps, and did that project together with the BIFA Institute for Environmental Technology, which is situated near Fujitsu Technology Solutions in Augsburg. It is cooperating with the University of Augsburg, so that we have really an academic proof point of this research instead of calculating it on our own basics, which would have been assumptions at a certain stage. So the outcome is that the lion's share is definitely the use phase, the assembly, the transport, the raw materials are flying into that balance, but to an extent which is minor, and even minor for a server. And in case you are interested in those details, we have created 2 white papers on this topic, so that we can prove that it definitely makes not sense to put a product carbon footprint tag on the product itself because of the use phase. And it does not happen very often, but all the competitors, we talked with them about this project, of course, are in line with these considerations. We are all on track saying it's not possible to compare the product carbon footprint of one server with the other one for the other one, saying Fujitsu is worse than XYZ. So definitely this makes not sense, and hopefully we could avoid some misunderstandings here. So some server development highlights. There is a layer which is called server view. This is a power manager which takes thermal management tools for changing demands in the data center into consideration. Then you have got the cool safe technology, which considers the housing and the airflow. This has been developed in 2009. You have highly efficient components, with a power supply of 94%, according to 80 plus platinum and to the Energy Star. And you have leading energy efficiency in every class, whether we are talking about a big machine, a blade server, or a smaller tower server, or the RX 100S7, which is an efficient rack server used in smaller offices. We are looking into a more dedicated benchmark, and the message of these two slides will be that we compare 2008 with 2012 to show the technology refresh, to show to what an extent this technology refresh will be able to impact your energy bill, and also how you can be able to save replacing 4 old servers by 1 new service, hopefully from us. So in 2008, you can still see Fujitsu Siemens computers. We were very proud of showing this server and getting it benchmarked, and the power active idle was 265 watt, the performance to power ratio 1146, and the operations per power 690. So overall, the target load at 100%, or the actual load at 99%, was 300 server-side operations, and we thought that this would be, well, for a longer point in time, state of the art, and nobody projected in 2008 that in 2012 this would be less challenging. So the active idle, this is also an important value at 166, could not decrease further down. So that is why this server was very good performance in 2008, but in 2012 it could be over-exceeded in terms of energy targets. Now we are going to look into 2012. So this is the spec power benchmark from March 2012, and the Primary dual core, the dual CPU 8-core just arrived at an active power of 245. The server-side operations are 4-fold, and the power performance ratio just hit the magic barrier of 5,000. So this means, in concrete, the active idle is at 53.1. You are able to replace 4 old servers with this new server in terms of performance, and you are able to save dramatically energy in terms of cutting down your energy bill. So we have calculated one example replacing old technology with new technology, and came out, well, of course, with German energy prices at an annual saving of approximately 1,500 euro for one transformation. So in order to come up with data center economics, Fujitsu Technology has created a service which is called data center optimization. It covers all aspects of the data center, because in many areas it is not easy to assess everything at a glance. If you are creating a new data center, then you can design everything from scratch, including energy efficient building and optimum positioning of your server, latest and greatest technology, and so on. However, sometimes you have got legacy environments where the server environment is composed of different scenarios. You have got older technology, you have got new technology, you have got technology from a variety of vendors, translating into the challenge that the data center manager, well, basically does not like that you are going to touch his data center on one hand side, and on the other hand, he will get a lot of pressure by his accounting department, because his energy bill is increasing and increasing. So you have the facility risk assessment, you have the certification and planning, consulting, simulation and modeling, and detailed simulation and modeling to come up with a facility readiness assessment. So the objective of this service is that you are able to forecast according to simulation and scenarios to what an extent a new server will positively influence your energy bill instead of calculating it in an artificial way. So this is a borrowed slide from Future Facilities. We are working with this piece of software. This software was originally designed for aircraft development and simulation flows, and it is quite challenging to see to what an extent you can influence the airflow. So the pictures show that the airflow is optimized at the bottom part, circling around, and on the other part you can see that the airflow is creating a flow which is not optimized. And the main business benefit of this solution is that you can try to compare different servers online in a simulation. You can design your data center, you can replace old technology by new technology, and you can try to optimize the airflow so that the loss of energy can be regulated at a certain extent. So this is the picture showing the floor analysis. The floor analysis is also a difficult one because nobody wants to create any artificial changes, and that is why the floor analysis allows you to hit this point as well, to come up with a calculation of the energy flow projection. So there's a specific team at Fujitsu Technology Solutions in Munich and in Augsburg, and they all together help us to offer a holistic end-to-end portfolio from all areas covering monitors, accessories, desktops, notebooks and servers, and also the solutions and the services as well. So what will come next? The next will be the smart grid. In Bavaria, where we come from, we also depend on nuclear energy, and we are cutting down the nukes step by step. This translates into a certain whole in terms of energy provisioning. When you calculate to cut all nukes down, you will need more renewable energy. So unfortunately, the big wind farms are sitting at the north and east shore, about 1,000 kilometers away from our site, and we need to get that transported to our sites and get it available everywhere. So the wind farm, for instance, to take this an example, will create renewable energy, and the role of ICT will be to help to enable to transport this energy to the sites and also track which type of energy in terms of load balancing will be available by when, and when pricing will be optimum. So there is a paradigm shift in place currently. The ICT industry is growing together with other industries, and we are, as you have seen with the simulation tools, totally different areas of engagement in comparison to former times. So what I would like to take you away from this speech is that Fujitsu is providing you with best-in-class eco-conscious technology on one hand side. Fujitsu is experienced in providing solutions and services, and we hope that we will be able to partner with you soon. So that was it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention.